There we go. All right. Hi, everybody. This is Lori, otherwise known as Free Birdie. Thank you for joining us. Sorry for the little bit of a delay. We tested this live streaming software earlier today, and everything was working fine. And then, of course, we go live, and I can't hear my guests that are waiting in the green room. Yeah, we have some special guests tonight. Okay, so welcome. This is our monthly meeting for the AMCON Ham Radio Network, and once a month on the second Thursday of every month, we get together and we put together a summary of what we've been doing, since the last meeting, the past month. So thank you all for being here, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. So if you need to get in touch with me, my email is right here, freebirdie1776@protonmail.com. This is me on the airwaves, KJ7PCS, and then our website is amconham.net. There you'll find a bunch of information. All right. Tonight we're going to be covering, I like to go over every time we meet the AHRN mission, just to bring that front and center and remind everybody who we are and what we're doing. I'm going to go over a list of our channels, our key metrics, some personnel vacancies that we'd love to fill, current projects we're working on, and then Papa Dan is going to give us an overview of training. And then Dean is going to be taking us through some antenna setups, and then we'll have some time at the end for questions. All right, so the AHRN mission, the AMCON Ham Radio Network, was created to provide reliable nationwide alternate contingency and emergency communication capability for AMCON members. You've heard us speak about that before. That's what we refer to as PACE. We leave the P off because that's primary, and that's what we do every day on our cell phones and our whatever else we use to communicate. But our focus is alternate contingency and emergency. And our focus is we cover a bunch of different comms, but our main focus is amateur radio. We provide communication expertise and training support for all levels of AMCON operations. So the way we do that is through our signal group, through the website, through the new platform, and the training element that's on the new platform. And then with regard to training support, we're here to help the regions and the states provide training to their members. So that is our goal with the training. We coordinate communications and signal operations at each level of the organization. And our key performance indicators, how we know we are being successful, is when we have a trained network of members active in every state. And then voice and record traffic can be passed from top to bottom and back up again in the network. And all AMCON members know how to get information into and out of the network. The members site, this is the brand new platform for American Contingency, and we have a AMCON Ham Radio Network group on there. If you haven't joined it and you're on the platform, please find us and join it. On locals, we're still on locals, and my vanity URL for locals is hamcon.net. And we're going to be on locals until we're done migrating all of the content. So we'll probably be somewhat behind AMCON headquarters on that, but we do plan on migrating completely. The website, like I mentioned before, is amconham.net. And let me just go there real quick. And on there, you will find our calendar, our wiki, and our link to the dashboard. So the calendar is a link to a Google Calendar, and you'll find here all the nets that we have. And I want to just point out, if there are any members in the network, either in the regions or the state, that you're running AMCON nets and you don't have access to this calendar, please get in touch with me and I will give you access to it so you can post your nets here. So we could really fill this out would be like a one-stop shop for people to go to see what they can get on. The wiki, if you don't know about the wiki, you can click on that link that says wiki. There's a link here to request access to it, and then there's all sorts of great information here. This is our signal operating instructions, and there's you really have to spend some time going through all of this. It's really some great information here. The AHRN dashboard is what we refer to it as the grid or the map, and this is where when you check into nets, like whether it's a Zello net or a regional HF voice net or a digital net, the net control stations log into this dashboard here, and they record all of the check-ins, so then we can see which states are recently active, which states aren't, and so forth. So this is really handy to have. And then on here we also have our regional leads, and then you can see like within each state how many members we have in the net roster. So that's pretty handy. And so the calendar, yeah, that's pretty much it with that. Okay, so back to our channels. On Signal, we have the main AHRN channel, and then we have an AHRN alerts channel. If you need to get out, if you're in the main channel and not in alerts and you'd like to be in the alerts, please reach out to one of the admins of the AHRN channel to get on there. There's a question here. Is it possibility to sync the net calendar with our Google calendars? You can if I give you access to the calendar, it will, not that it will sync, but when you go to your Google Calendar, there's on the left-hand side, there's some preferences there. So if you have that selected plus your own calendar selected, then you'll see everything all in one view. But you do have to be like added to the calendar as a user. Okay, so Zello. We have a channel on Zello, the main AHRN channel, and we also have there's a bunch of channels, regional and otherwise, but the main one is AHRN. And if you'd like to join the Zello channel, Haas has recently taken over the coordination of that. So you can reach out to Haas for the password to get on there, and we'll get you on. And then I put this here, the stat rep here, link here, because we would like for people to submit, like, and there's so much going on with floods and hurricanes and fires and whatnot. We would like for you to be able to submit a stat rep. And so if you go to our website and underneath the AHRN dashboard link, there's a link that says, oh, you can join the net roster. This is how you get on right there. But submit a stat rep, and then you fill out a form here, and it just takes you through it's fairly short form, but basically, where are you? Do you have power? Do you have water? Do you have sanitation, grid communications, and transportation status? And then the comments here is a good place. Like if all these are up, but you're experiencing some sort of other issue, like flooding or whatever, you can, or if there's there's no gas or whatever, you can put those in the comments here, and then this gets populated to a page that you can then go and look at and to kind of get the view of what's going on across the country. And so here's what that looks like. And we have W. Lips and Grendel and G. Lawrence G. Recently filled out stat rep. So thank you guys for doing that. Okay, so key metrics. This is just an overview of the activity and the engagement of the membership. So each region here you'll see is these are the number of members that are in our net roster, which make up this map. And so you can see that mostly Southeast and Southwest have the greater numbers, and then actually Northeast is catching up to us. It must be all those people in Pennsylvania and Ohio. 187 in the Northeast, South 181. So good amount of people in each region. North is 90. That's like up by 8 or 10 since the last time we met. And we have a new North region lead, so we're looking forward to expanding those numbers. Northwest region 95, and then 135 unknown means when people join the net roster, they just don't say, where they're from. So we don't know. On locals, we still have 2,331 members. On the new platform, the members platform, we have 419. So a lot less than we thought it would be. Hopefully, we've been posting to the AMCON main feed, so hopefully more people will become aware of us and join if they're interested in radio communications, and we think that everybody should be. And then in the roster here, which makes up the council dashboard, we have 1,177 members in there. Okay, on to personnel vacancies. We can't meet our goals that we were sharing with you at the beginning unless we're well staffed, and we currently have some vacancies. We do have 3 new people in blue here, 3 new positions that have joined since the last time we met. So in the North region, we have Ron, who is going to be the regional coordinator for North, and thank you, Ron. We welcome him. Haas also recently took on coordination of the ZelloNet, and his special focus is going to be helping users who are new to radio. So if you don't even have your ham license yet and you want to practice talking on the radio, Zello is a great place to do that. And Haas is going to incorporate some helpful information for those that are new to radio. So our ZelloNet is every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, if you'd like to join that. And then Brad, Delta Whiskey 6, recently took on the role as AHRN liaison. So AHRN has been, at this communications thing for a lot longer than us, like maybe 10 years or so. And we all realize there's a lot of AHRN members here among AMCON, and a lot of good work has been done. So Brad is going to be working with them to see what we could leverage in AHRN. Okay, on to vacancies. So there's 3 regions that do not have a regional leader, and the fact that we don't have people in those roles is affecting our ability to run communications across the whole country. So one of them is in the Southeast. We had someone there that recently had to step down, so we've got that. And then in the South region, we still need somebody there. And then Northwest, we thank Carrie in Montana for filling in for the Northwest in the acting role. You've probably seen him in the Signal chat, and he also runs the Northwest net. So thank you, Carrie, for doing that. The last open role we have is someone to lead the digital modes. So we have JS Satecall and WinLink, and currently Papa Dan is doing that. And as you'll see coming up, he's been very busy creating training courses for us and would prefer to focus on that. So we're looking for someone to take over leading those digital nets. So please get in touch with Papa Dan if you are interested in doing that, and he will get you up to speed. Okay, in case you were thinking about possibly looking at the regional coordinator role, but you didn't know what it entails, I figured I would throw it up there. The regional coordinator organizes and coordinates national level activities into their respective regions. Examples include organizing regional training nets, developing regional specific reporting, and conducting training and exercise nets or events. The regional coordinator is the first AHRN point of contact for state coordinators when they have an administrative or operational communications need. Regional coordinators maintain regular communications with all state coordinators, and they're encouraged to have regular calls. For example, like Dean runs the Southwest region, and he has a weekly Skype call, and I know that other regions do this too, weekly Skype call with their state coordinators, state comms coordinators, and we find it really helpful. We share best practices. We talk about the regional nets and talk about different things we can do to help members, and just generally, like, a lot of times we end up focusing on antennas, and it gives us a chance to really try to figure out and solve some of those problems communicating regionally. The regional coordinator is also responsible for recruiting and supporting the state coordinators within their region. And regional coordinators are considered members of national leadership team, AHRN leadership, and will be on our weekly AHRN leadership calls on Tuesday nights. So you become a part of the team, and you get to really make a difference in helping everybody communicate better. So if you're interested in that, please let me know. And I would point out that if you're interested but you don't really want to go for the coordinator role, you can step into one of these vacancies for backups. Like, all of our leaders have to have a backup. And so, for example, in the North region, Ron needs a backup. In Southwest, we need a backup. I mean, almost every region needs a backup except for Northeast. So that's another option. And the alternates are also considered part of the leadership team, and you're also on the leadership meeting. You have to be on the leadership meeting calls, because it would be kind of hard for you to step into the role if you don't know what's going on. So we include the alternates as well in the Signal channel and also the weekly meetings. All right, on to our current projects. Organizational development, we're still working on identifying state comms leads in every state, and I think that the new platform is really going to help us do this. We'll be able to see who is where, and I think it'll be a lot easier to try to determine who is the lead, or even if there are several leads, to figure out who are the state leads. The AMCON website, yay! The site is live, and approximately 50% of members have been migrated. I can say for myself, it was a very smooth process, and I'm amazed at a new platform that is robust as this. That I've only put in, maybe half a dozen tickets, which is usually that's really unusual, because like most new platforms, what I've done in my professional career in communications, I've done testing and whatnot, and I would end up with like scores of tickets. So kudos to the headquarters team on that, and especially for Tom, who has probably been working overtime and not getting enough sleep. So if you're on the call, Tom, thank you. It's awesome. Regional HF nets develop a regular cadence of operational and training nets. We are in the process of doing that, and obviously we need to get those regional coordinator roles filled in order to really get at that one. The training templates and materials, we are developing deployment scenarios to inform training development. We have a team working on that. And then Papa Dan is developing the training courses for the new platform. He is going to be speaking about that more, and the first course is operational. And I have seen that some of you have taken that and have given us feedback, so thank you for that. I'm going to just leave that to Dan because he's going to speak to it. The WeatherNet. The WeatherNet's been doing an awesome job with the weather alerts, and they've been expanding their team, and they're doing such a good job that they are moving to the Intel group, and they are not going to be under the auspices of AHRN anymore. So this, I think, was a really good move, because Intel should be working closely with what they're doing, and then at some point maybe we could use some of their alerts, for us to be able to pass traffic. So congrats to the weather team, and we wish you well moving to Intel. Stat reps I talked about, we've got that up and running. I think there's a little bit of development that needs to be done on the WinLink interface to incorporate the stat rep fields, and hopefully our new digital modes lead will be able to take some of that on. Zello and Signal Telegram upgrades. This has been on the burner for a while. This is to replace. This is a more secure and private platform for messaging to replace Signal and Zello, and that is something that Tom has been working, and he's done quite a bit of development on that. But I don't imagine this will be happening until after the current platform is up and everybody's been migrated. And then AC Tech. So this is Android Team Awareness Kit. I think is what it is. But not sure I got that right. But somebody will correct me in the chat. So I started training on that, and I am really so I got a cheap little tablet and got into the training, and there's a lot of resources, a lot of help with the training, so I'm really enjoying it, and I'm seeing that it would be very useful for groups to have. So I'm looking at finishing up that training pretty soon. But this team also has been growing and experiencing a lot of success, and there are operators in 23 states. Last time we gave an update, I think I had 5 states in here, so they're doing a great job, and it's a wonderful group of guys. So more to come on that. I'm trying to get them to come on this live stream and give us an overview. All right, next up is training. So let me switch over here. Okay, Papa Dan.
Hey.
Hey. Okay,
Just
so
hanging out in the green room here. It's been great. Love the buffet.
do you like all the snacks in there?
Yeah, it's great. You could spend the night in here.
All right, so Dan is gonna take us through some training. I'm gonna put you on here solo, Dan, and then you can go ahead. You can go ahead and share your screen.
All right, share my screen. Yes, I can do that. Does that work?
Not yet.
Not yet. It worked in rehearsal.
Yeah, I know. That's all right.
Sure. Okay, here we go. There, how's that?
Yes, hold on just a sec. Here we go. Okay, we're looking at a chat right now.
How's that?
We're looking at Signal.
Looking at Signal?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Oh, okay. I don't want that. Let me try again. How about that?
There we go.
Better?
Better.
Okay, excellent. Phew. Sorry about that. Okay, guys. So last month, I did a little talk on the training program, and I think my main goal was to let you know that work was actually being done. We've been promising a training program for quite a while, and from what any of you could see, probably didn't look like there was a whole lot going on. But there was. We were working on the foundation, and it's a lot of boring, tedious work, but it needs to be done so we know we're teaching the right things. And I promised that we were going to be rocking and rolling on getting training out, and it's more like a waltz, I'd say, but we are getting training out. So we have our first course has been published. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm going to show you how to get to it. I'm on the main American Contingency page here, and if I go to me, Papa Dan, go down to courses and over to my courses, it should, in theory, show me all the courses that I'm currently enrolled in. And we have Comms User 101. That's the only course. 18 5-star reviews. Yep. And I was one of them. I gave it 5 stars. So right now we have the one course Comms User, and I talked about that last time as far as the jobs with AHRN, emergency comms jobs. Starting with Comms User, which is really an AMCON non-licensed team member who needs to have a handheld radio to communicate with his team and with his leader. So we put together that as our first course. Everyone in AMCON is enrolled in this. I expect to get thousands of people taking this eventually. Right now, I don't really know how many have taken it, but we have 18 reviews, so at least that many. I think something will be coming out tomorrow on the AMCON feed, letting people know that this is in their My Courses page and asking them to take a look at it. We do want them to be proficient at using a handheld radio, and we are focusing on GMRS. That's something that we made the conscious decision that we would encourage GMRS at the comms user level. That means that we need the AHRN guys to also be proficient with GMRS, which is, there's nothing special about it for radios, but you got to have a license. So if you don't have a GMRS license, you might want to hold off a little bit till the FCC lowers the rates, but that's something that we're going to encourage you to do, since we are encouraging the AMCON team guys to get their license and get a radio. So this training, if you haven't looked at it, please run through it. It's probably going to be way more basic than you guys need, but part of what we want you to do is give us feedback. Are we teaching the right things? Are we teaching anything wrong? That's the first thing I want to know. Is anything in there that's wrong? And then next, is there anything that should be in there that isn't? Did we miss something big? One of the beautiful things about doing training for an organization like this compared to the organization I used to do training for is there's not a lot of, nothing requires us to do this training. It can be very informal. I can change things on the fly. Didn't used to be like that in my previous life. So here we can make changes, and we already have done that. We got feedback. Looked like good feedback, so we went in and made some minor changes. If significant changes are made, then I'm going to need to have a way to let everybody know, everybody that's already completed the training, know that, hey, we just found out there was something in there that was incorrect, and here's the correct information. That's something that we'll be trying to incorporate. The next course is already...
Can you open up that one so we can see it?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because it's so beautiful.
It is beautiful, and you know who you can thank for that, not me. If I did this, it would just be words and maybe a couple of pictures. This is Lori's work, and it is really nice. I think it's pretty stunning. Obviously, I've already been through it, so it's lined out because I've completed that. But it's really beautiful, and this is what they're all going to look like. I don't want to have that up there, but right now it says 18 plus enrolled. I think there are some bugs we're still working out. We haven't even published the second course yet, and I think there's already like 17,000 people enrolled. It's going to be automatic, so everybody that joins this organization, AMCON, and gets on this website, they will be enrolled in these courses. This one specifically pertains to everybody. The ones that come after are really going to be the AMCON Ham Radio Network courses, but we're going to leave them open to everybody. If anybody's interested, we may be able to recruit some new members that way too. And that's what's going to come out tomorrow, letting them know there will be more courses that come. They won't be required for anybody, but if they're interested and want to try them, please do get their license and come join our group and get on the air. So that's what you should be seeing tomorrow. So for this course here, like I said, this is basic two-way radio, handheld GMRS stuff. The one that's in Lori's hot little hands right now is the handheld radio course. So that takes this course to the next level, which is the licensed level. So we're going to be talking about GMRS radios, on one side and the ham radio on the other side, but handhelds. And like I said before, as the RTO, the radio and telephone operator, that's the next level up in the organization, and that's a big job. And the RTO is going to be the radio expert for the comms users. The RTO is going to set up their radios for them. There's not a whole lot to set up on a GMRS radio, but there are some things that if they're not done right, they don't work. So that will fall on the RTO to do that. So you need to know, and since there's so many models and brands out there, there's a lot of crossover between them, but there are some things about them that are unique. So you're going to need to get up to speed on what your local teams are going to be using. And if they haven't already started with radios, try to encourage them to end up with radios. First of all, they all use the same brand and model. That would make your job a lot easier. And just kind of steer them in that direction so that they're using standardized things. If somebody's radio fails and somebody else has a spare, they can borrow it and they already know how to use it, that kind of thing. All you got to do is turn it on, get on the right channel, and push the talk button. That's about it, and follow the regs. So Lori is working on the next course, the handheld radios. As soon as she's done, we're going to vet it first before we publish that. So I'll be passing that around to some people to look at before we publish it for 17,000 people to look at. We want to make sure it's right. So that'll add a couple of days to it. But expect to see that in your My Courses soon. I want to show you real quick, and I'll hand back to Lori. I'm over on the wiki. There's a training page. It's always been there, but I've been doing a little bit of work on it. And what I wanted to show you here is course design. This shows you all of the courses, the way we've broken them down. There's currently 14 courses, and we're working on number 2. So we got some work to do. Handheld radios is the next one.
Dan, we're not seeing what you're talking about. We're still seeing the Comms User 101.
Okay. I won't spend a lot of time on this. I'll just talk through it, but it's 14 courses. Handheld radios, the next one I've started is mobile radios. It goes on to crossband repeating, portable radios, portable power supplies, HF base stations, net participation. How do you communicate on a net? How do you be a net control station? How do you be the NCS? Radiograms. How do you write and receive radiograms? We'll have separate courses on WinLink and JS8 call. We're going to have a course on antennas and propagation, and troubleshooting and repair of radios. So a lot to cover. We've got a lot of work to do, and that doesn't even include the things that people are going to come up with as they start doing these things, and they say, hey, you know what, we should have some other courses in the mix. So if you have any questions, I would love to hear from you. I did create I think a discussion on the AHRN group for training. So that's a good place to go if you have things that you want to talk about, suggest, ask questions about. Let us know what you're thinking. And with that, I'll give it back to Lori and stop sharing.
All right. Thanks, Dan.
Got it?
Yep.
All right. We'll get back in the green room. I'm still hungry.
All right. So next we have Dean, and Dean is going to take us through some antenna setups. Hey, Dean, you're on.
Okay, let's see. Is my screen coming up?
Not yet. Yeah, just take your time. So let me just look at the chat here and see what you guys are talking about. Oh, they're talking about AC Tech. AC Tech strong. TC Tech 1 says, oh, and I want to just give a shout out to TC Tech 1 for leading the Zello nets when other people can't make it. So we really appreciate you. Thank you so much for that. E. Murphy says, don't look at the chat, Lori. Okay, so Dean, you're sharing something, but what you're sharing is this picture of me. It's not your whatever it is you want to show. So I think it's just a matter of changing the view.
How's that?
No, it's still me.
You got to select a specific screen you want to display before you share it.
Okay, so whatever you had before is going away. So if you try again, I have confidence in you, Dean. So Kevin says, antennas. After pulling a topo map, I've determined that I need a 200-foot tower to get out of the neighborhood on 80, 40, and 20 meters. Yeah, it sure helps to be on top of a mountain or a hill. I won't lie. Oh, that's it. You got it. Amcon communications tiers and usage. Is that what you're...
Okay, yeah. Okay, good evening, everybody. Last month, we covered the AMCON communication space plan and in our introduction to training, and Dan's already covered the modules for implementing that. So this month, we'd like to start with our introduction to antennas as they relate to our specific parts of the communication space plan. And that's specifically NVIS, our near vertical incident skywave propagation. And we utilize NVIS for our wide area and our regional communications as our contingency and emergency modes. So we utilize it for contingency for wide area and regional. We use it for our emergency mode. The thing is, these are your last ditch efforts for communications. So these are going to be the most difficult and probably the least reliable. So that's what we need to probably practice on the most. So what is NVIS? It's near vertical incident skywave. Propagation mode uses high angle radiation to send signals mostly just straight up and reflected back to the Earth for short to medium distance communications. It makes it great for in-state communications during disasters or during any time. The military is a big user of NVIS communications for short haul communications. The caveat with NVIS communications, it's low frequency, 2 to 10 megahertz is where you get the best performance out of it, because it has to go through the different layers of the ionosphere and get to the F layer to where it'll reflect back. And for ham radio communications, we're looking at 40 and 80 meter primarily for NVIS use. So what's an NVIS antenna? It has high takeoff angles. If you look at this picture on there, the signal goes essentially straight up or at very, very low or high radiation angles. So it reflects down anywhere between 0 and 400 miles for typically what our wide and regional communications are. So understand 0 to 400 miles. You probably won't have full regional coverage due to our regions. We have 6 regions and they're pretty big. Well, Texas alone is probably as big as the Northeast region. So we have multiple regional stations. It really helps out to be able to have inter and intra-region communications between different stations. It really helps out for the relay aspect of our nets and our communication transfers. So what antenna configurations do you need for NVIS antenna communications. You don't need a huge antenna array for NVIS to work. Any 40 to 80 meter wire antenna in a horizontal or nearly horizontal configuration will work. The best part, it doesn't need to be high up in the air. You know, anywhere between a couple of feet off the ground to 20 to 30 feet will work for NVIS propagation for our applications, for what we need for 0 to 400 miles. Okay, so here's a model for an 80 meter dipole compared for 5 feet and 20 feet off the ground. If you look at 25 feet off the ground, you get about a 5 dBi signal. And if you lower it down to just 5 feet, you lose 10 dB. Now, if you were a long distance, DX chasing ham radio operator, that's going to be significant because you're going to have low takeoff angles, and you're going to be your goal is to reach someone 3,000 or 4,000 miles away, in the East Asia or South Africa or someplace, for a long distance DX. That's not our goal. That's not what we're looking to accomplish. We want short distances, 0 to 400 miles. So if you're using a 100-watt radio, you're not going to notice a big difference between going from 25 to 5 feet height difference. And if you're using a 20-watt radio, you might have a better signal to noise ratio, because not only do you have less noise, but you have a better signal. So you'll have a better signal to noise ratio. And probably the big thing for a lot of people is, even in HOA restricted areas, you can configure these low elevation dipoles below your fence lines and have NVIS communications. Okay, here's a couple examples of NVIS antenna configurations. The first one, it's cheap, easy. It's an 80 meter dipole, 2 feet off the ground. This works. We know it works. A lot of people use it. It's proven. And if you need short range communications, you can have this set up below your fence line and have it there. You don't need to have a coax hooked up to it. Or if you have a coax hooked up to it, you can leave it configured and use it when you need it. But the thing is, it's already configured. The second configuration.
Hey, Dean, what kind of pole is that? Is that metal or the one the black pole?
Okay, well, I'll go over the configuration a little bit. So all this is 264 foot long pieces of wire hooked up to a Cobra head, which is just a BNC to binding post adapter. That's what the technical term is. And it's held up off the ground for about 2 feet or whatever distance by these they're electric fence poles. You can get them at Tractor Supply. One thing to note at Tractor Supply, I've never seen a black one. They're all yellow. So I don't know where these guys got black ones, but those are pretty cool.
Maybe they painted it.
But typically they're yellow, and it's great, and they work excellent, and it's a proven design. Oh, well, the NVIS 80 meter dipole antenna is a proven design. But it doesn't need to be 75 feet up in the air, 2 feet off the ground. It works. That's what's so great about it. Next, this is a little bit more involved. A lot of people use these. They're the multiband 10 to 80 meter end-fed half wave that uses a 49-to-1 Balun transformer in there, or on transformer. The nice thing about something like this, you get full band coverage. You get 10, 12, 15, 17, 20, 40, and 80 meter band coverage So you get all the other ham bands that can be utilized as well. So the thing is, this one's less cheap. So this is just a quick overview of, what we're talking about when we're talking about NVIS, and what you should get back or take away from all this is you and several of your team members need to have NVIS capability. You may need more than one antenna, depending on what your ham interests are and what your configurations are for antennas. And you don't have to spend a gob of money on workable NVIS antenna. Can you? Sure. Anything do it yourself is going to be a lot cheaper than buying something like my antenna. The big thing is, what works at your station, and you're going to have to get out and experiment at your station for what works at your location. We have a lot of resources on the Signal Group, and now that we have the new member site, there's a lot of folks out there that have a lot of experience with this. We've tested these out is at AHRN. They all work. We know they work. Are there other configurations that work? Absolutely. But this is a starting point where you can look if you don't have anything. A lot of new folks are coming out looking for their first radio. It's kind of hard to tell somebody, this shiny new radio isn't what you want to buy. You want to buy this dark drab black piece of wire to hook up. But your antenna is probably the biggest part of your station, is what you're going to find out. It's the most critical part of your station are the antennas. And I say antennas because eventually you're going to have more than one antenna. It's just, they grow. They
multiply like rabbits.
They multiply and propagate. Yeah. So spend your money wisely. It's always great to have this nice, shiny, new, $1,000 radio, but put some of that away and figure out where you're going to put your antenna and what antennas you want, and spend a little bit on some antennas. The biggest bang for your buck is going to be a high dollar antenna and a cheap radio, and you're going to outperform just about everybody. Mm. So the biggest thing, inform everybody, equip everybody, and train everybody. So get out there and build some stuff and train on it.
All right. Thank you, Dean. Dan, I'm going to add you back in and have all three of us here for the question and answer period. So on your you're muted too. On your toes.
I got it.
All right. Thank you, guys. That was great. Appreciate it. Does anybody have any questions on anything they've seen tonight? We have some time to take some questions, so put your question in the chat.
So I see everyone loves Dean, and Kevin's going to go for a hot air balloon ride. That should be fun. Hopefully somebody will video that.
I get no kickback from Tractor Supply, but I'll hit them up. Maybe I will.
Hey, Haas, you're next. Haas says Stars of Leadership Team. He doesn't realize that, he's going to be getting his turn.
I tried to volunteer him this time, but he's slippery.
Okay. Let's see. Could you provide links to the equipment you've recommended?
I can't. I'm also going to put some of these art. These are. I didn't come up with all this stuff on my own. I'm going to put all this stuff. It'll be in the wiki.
Okay, great.
I can say from my experience, the one NVIS antenna he was showing with the plastic electric fence pole, like 3 feet off the ground. I have that in my backyard, and it works great.
So Steve Rogers says, thanks for covering the 80-meter dipole NVIS. I've tried it with an NFET half wave, but never a dipole. I'm guessing the dipole works much better. I'll just comment, I have an NFED half wave and it works great for MVIS. So I don't know if it's my elevation or if it's the way I have it. I lucked out with setting it up, but I love having the multiple bands. So if you have an NFED half wave and it's not working for you, I'm wondering if maybe you can make some adjustments. But Dean, what are your thoughts on that versus the dipole?
I've got both. My 80 meter, my dipole and the NFED, they run perpendicular to each other, and they're tuned exactly the same, and they're pretty much identical, receive wise and transmit wise. I really don't see a big difference between the two.
Okay.
They both work.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of variables too, though. Dan Hurd is saying he has both, and he says the dipole works better. So I think it probably depends on a lot of things. But Dean, I'm sure you're an expert at tuning things to be identical. I wouldn't know where to begin with that. So maybe that would be a more advanced class.
It does depend on your location too. My dipole runs over. Yeah. I got tractors and trailers and all kinds of equipment underneath my dipole. Where on my NFED I don't have any. I mean, so depending on your specific.
Oh, okay. So Steve is saying that his NFED halfway is short. It's only 53 feet. So that's the problem.
No, that is a short NFED. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions? What do you guys? So what do you guys think about this format versus with the Skype? We had an issue with always having to mute people, and some people joined and they couldn't see the presentation. They could only hear. So I'd be interested in feedback on this new format, the YouTube live stream.
There was a comment on the Signal chat about not being able to read some of the text when you were doing your presentation earlier. I don't know if that was just for one individual. Maybe we can get some comments here, but.
Was it my presentation or
was it when you had your? It was probably a PowerPoint or something that you had up, and they did a screenshot of it, and it was kind of blurry.
Okay.
But I don't know if that was an individual issue.
Okay. Oh, so some people prefer YouTube, so good. Someone is asking, can we get a call sign user lookup? I bet you we could do that. We could do that on the website, on our not on AmCon site, but on the AmCon Hamnet, like our website. We could probably do that. I have an app on my phone. It works great.
Yeah, there's TC Tech 1 saying had difficult to read the font in the PowerPoint slides.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
Haas has trouble seeing it on his phone.
Oh, well, of course.
So which slides were unreadable?
Let's check the AHRN chat. There's a screenshot of it.
Okay. Yeah. So let's just try something here. All right. As long as I have you guys here.
Okay, so the question on the angle, I probably should have covered that. Horizontal to about 30 degrees sloping down is about what you want. If you get much more than that, your takeoff angle gets too low and you start, like skipping over things. So if you can keep your antennas from horizontal to a max of like 30 degrees downslope.
Okay, I'm trying something with the slides. How is it right now? Okay, my kind line is saying it's perfectly clear. Oh, okay. E Murphy is saying that YouTube defaulted to 480, like the resolution or something. Okay.
Yep, it's perfectly clear where I am.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. And it's 7:02. Well, at least in Arizona it is. So we're just over an hour. So I think that was a good amount of time. We don't want to keep you any longer. Thank you all for joining, and I think Dan is going to be posting this video in multiple places so that it'll be accessible later for those who didn't get a chance to watch it.
Yeah, the last one got a lot of views. I was pretty happy about that.
Great. All right.
So get hot on that, Dan.
As soon as we hang up, I'm on it.
All right. Thanks,
All right,
everybody.
have a good night.
Have a good night.
Good night.